Hello everybody, welcome back. This is the first of the new format videos that I'm going to do. Last week was the introduction, this week will be new stuff. So let's just almost pretend like this was the beginning of the season when everybody makes their predictions. What I've got up here on the board right now is these are the standings currently. And I've also got a bunch of numbers here squiggled on the board. One set of the numbers is the Pacoda predictions for the season. Another is USA Today's predictions for the season, and the last one is mine. That's these ones here. The numbers on top are their current standings and their current, their current winning percentage of the teams and their current um, last 10 games, what their record is in the last 10 games. So let's begin at the beginning. At the top in the corner here, the American League Eastern Division. The Yankees are leading the division, followed by the Blue Jays, Red Sox, Orioles, and Rays in that order. Of course, you would expect the Yankees to be near the top. They were in the World Series last year. They've improved, although they are currently, and it's still early. We're only a couple weeks into the season. I think we're about the Cubs have played 17 games. That's the most of any team. So everything can be taken with a grain of salt, except for the predictions, which is something that people like to do. I like to do it all the time. I'm hardly ever right, but whatever. So the Yankees are currently the top team in the American League East. They've got a 571 winning percentage. That is currently the lowest winning percentage of any first place team in all six divisions. The highest right now are the Padres. They are at 800, and they're and moving along just nicely. Thank you very much. Um, just some other things to look at as far as how teams are doing right now. The Tigers are sitting with 8 wins, 2 losses in their last 10 games. That is the best record in Major League Baseball as far as winning, or as far as the last 10 games. They they've that has pushed them into first place. They're a good young team doing very well. They're expected to do well. Um, who has the lowest winning percentage at this point? It is the Rockies, and that's really no surprise either. The Rockies are in what is right now arguably the best division in baseball, with 4 teams all above 500. That's the only division that can say that. And as I said, the Padres with the best winning percentage in baseball at this time. So let's take a little look at predictions. As I said, this is Pacoda, this is USA Today, this is me. Um, we all agree on the Yankees, all of us brains here. then it goes down the list, and I think there's the Yankees. Or this one here, yeah, we all agreed with the Yankees finishing first. Um, we all agreed with the Cubs finishing first in the National League Central, and we all agreed with the Brewers finishing second in the National League Central. As far as anything else, we all agree with the Rockies finishing last in the National League West, and we all agree with the Angels finishing last in the American League West. But look, they're at first place. They should be down here as far as we know. But it's early, but they're playing very well, and that excitement will of being in first place will carry them for a ways. Do they make the playoffs? Who knows? Do they finish in last? I think there's a better chance of them finishing in last than them than making the playoffs, to be honest with you. But that's just the way it is. Now, some thoughts about what I thought on this season. I think, well, the Red Sox are in third, but they're below 500. I did think that they would finish. I thought with their pitching and with the addition of Bregman that this would spell maybe a better season, finishing second, maybe even challenging the Yankees for first place. Although I wondered about the addition of Bregman, if that would have caused troubles in the clubhouse with Bregman playing third base and Rafael Devers not, and all of this kind of stuff. I even thought there should maybe be a trade for to get rid of either Bregman or sorry, not Bregman. They won't get rid of him. They just signed him, Devers or Tristan Cassis, moving Devers to first base. Cassis is struggling right now, and maybe he's feeling that heat. Maybe he's thinking, oh, I wonder if I don't play well, will they put Devers there and get rid of me? Who knows? And maybe it's affecting him. Um, the other divisions, uh, I predicted the Guardians to finish first again, and other teams have, or other Dakota and USA Today have predicted them to finish lower in the standings. And I was beginning to doubt myself, think, well, yeah, they're right, and I'm wrong, but they're starting to play better. They're getting close to the Tigers, and who knows, maybe their experience will get them there. Although Manuel Clase, their closer, he is struggling. Although yesterday it looked like he maybe it was a day of two different days almost. The first guys he pitched to, he was throwing the ball across the plate and they were hitting it, looking mostly for a fastball. And the announcers were saying, well, he's got to get to the edges of the plate. And of course he does. People know that. And he did in the end. And he got through the inning and he gave up a run or two. So if he can be what he was, things will be fine. He struggled at the end of last year. This one is just a complete wash. The American League West is almost upside down. Well, not really upside down, but I figured the Rangers would be there. They had a tough last season. I'd say sometimes you can call it a hangover from a World Series win. Some teams struggle with that season after they've won a World Series, and the Rangers certainly did. To see the Angels up there, I mean, I think it's great that they're not predicted to be up there by anybody, and look at that, they are. But as I said, I think that will change. My pick here, the Athletics, not my pick, my team, I thought they would do better than where they are. I predict them as high as third, and they're one of my teams that I would say would be, if there's going to be a change in playoff teams from last year, I'd say the Athletics are the team that will be in there. And you know what? I'm not disheartened by this. They're playing 400 baseball. They have played so far, and I'm just thinking this off the top of my head. They have played the Cubs, they have played the Tigers, and they are currently playing the Mets. 3 teams, all in first place in their division, and the Athletics have come through that at 400. They played the Mariners as well. I think that's all the series they've played. So they've played good teams for the most part. I mean, the Mariners are at 467, but Cubs, Mets, Tigers, and you're still playing around 400 baseball. I think that's pretty good for the Athletics. I still think that they will move up. Down here, I know I predicted the Mets. So did Pacoda, just because of who they've added. They've just got they're almost like the Dodgers as far as players that they've grabbed off free agency. Juan Soto being the big guy. The Phillies, they're a very strong team. They might be getting close to, at some point, maybe they're a year or two away from their best before date. That is, it's time to get rid of some of the guys that have been there for a while. Maybe the Marlins, they're an up and coming team. They're they're coming from the depths of the standings, but I think that they're going to be better than they were last year. I think the Nationals will be better than they were last year. I also think that the Braves will be better than they currently are showing, but it's getting rather dicey even this early in the season. As I said, these guys are better, these guys are better, these guys are better, these guys are just as good as they were. Also, all 4 teams ahead of them in their division, and they've got to play them. It's not a completely balanced schedule, but they do play everybody, but it's not completely balanced. So they've got a tough schedule to play these 4 teams and to leapfrog them. Will they get to first? I don't know about that. Again, it's early, but they're I think they're 3-3, and I'm going to say 3-8, 3-9, 3-10, something like that. they've got a long ways to go, but they are good enough to do that. Again, it depends what they can do with these teams when they play them. The Cubs, they're hitting. Yesterday they won 17-0. Now Miguel Rojas pitched a bit. A position player pitched a bit for the Dodgers yesterday against the Cubs, but they already had. You can't bring a position guy in until I think it's 10 or 11 run lead. Maybe it's a little less than that. I don't know. So they were already getting beat quite handily in the last 2 innings, and they scored a ton of runs against the Athletics. They're an offensive juggernaut. The Brewers, they're actually maybe I've listed them. I think they'll finish second, and I think they will, but I don't think they're the team they were. But I think second because these three teams down here, the Cardinals are not the team they were, and the Reds and the Pirates are better, I think, than they were last year. Certainly, the Reds are showing it. The Pirates aren't at this point, but this is a weaker division. Over here, the strength of Major League Baseball: the Padres, Giants, Dodgers, Diamondbacks, all over 500, all playing very well. I wouldn't want to be the Rockies. It's going to be a tough year for the Rockies. They're currently at 214, which is that's I don't even know what that's on pace for as far as wins, but it's not very many. And again, you play your own division a little bit more than you play the other divisions, although you do play everybody. But what do you do when you're playing these guys? Holy cow! So let's take a look at this just a couple more minutes, and then we'll be done with it. So the standings, what are the predictions? Of all these predictions on here, you've got out of 30, so your X over 30. So Pacoda has got 10 of these positions right. We've all got the Yankees right, so that's one. Pacoda has 10. USA has got 11 right, and I've got 8 right. That doesn't surprise me. If I had to choose between 0 right and 30 right, I would choose 0 if it were me, because I can usually provide the kiss of death to teams. USA Today here at 11 and leading. That's a no. This is the only one that anybody's got completely right. The National League Central Division: Cubs, Brewers, Reds, Cardinals, Pirates, in that order. That's what USA Today has predicted. That is the only one that is in that position right now. That everybody's got, or that somebody has got all the positions right. This is the only one. As far as teams in first place goes, we all agree that the Yankees should be there. Only USA Today thinks the Tigers should be there. Nobody, of course, thinks the Angels should be there. Myself and Pacoda think the Mets should be there. We all agree on the Cubs being in first place. And nobody has predicted the Padres to be in first place. Everybody, of course, has predicted the Dodgers, and why wouldn't you? Although the Dodgers got off to a great start, they're 5-5 in their last 10, so they're struggling. Not struggling, but they're just in a funk right now, and every team is going to go through that. And goodness gracious, if that's going to be this is going to be their funk now. We're in for teams are in for a season of hurt when they play the Dodgers, if and when they get things straightened away. So there you have it. That's fun with predictions. What are yours? If you have any predictions, put them down in the comments below, and just let me know what you think your predictions will be. Oh, one last thing about predictions. I think many people would predict that the Dodgers and the Yankees will maybe finish in first place and win their pennants and go to the World Series again. Well, let's look at that again. Just a quick look at that. The Yankees, yes, they are in first place, but of course there's the playoffs to go through, and they don't have the pitching right now with Heel and out and Garrett Cole gone for the season with Tommy John surgery. And the Dodgers, they're sitting down here in third right now. They would probably make the playoffs from this position. There's no doubt about that. So will there be a repeat of the Dodgers-Yankees World Series? That's hard to say. I would say no. Now, having said that, it probably will happen. now that I've said that. This is one thing about predictions. Many years ago, when the hockey, the Vancouver Canucks were in the Stanley Cup final against the Boston Bruins in 2011, Game 7. Of course, I want the Canucks to win. I'm a lifelong Canucks fan. Not a lifelong, they haven't been around as long as I have, but since their birth, I have been a fan of them. Um, and I've also said that they will never win in my lifetime. So Don Taylor, who's a sports writer, not a sports personality around here, mostly an analyst or a sports commentator. Of course, he's a Canuck fan too. I think him and I are twins separated at birth. He said, because the Canucks aren't going to win, you place a bet. Coming from a Canuck fan, you place a bet on, at that time, the Bruins to win the Stanley Cup in that 7th game. Why? Well, if the Canucks win, you're happy. If the Bruins win, you won some money. Again, thank you very much. Any comments about standings or anything? Let me know in the comments below. And if you haven't done so already, please hit like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate your support. I will talk to you again soon.